I have now been living in the Netherlands for 12 years. If I had to make that decision again today, knowing everything I know now, would I still move here? That's the question I will answer in today's video. As a bit of context, I moved from Spain to the Netherlands back in 2014. Since then, I've lived in Amsterdam, Haarlem, and for the past 6 years near Eindhoven. I'm now moving back to the Amsterdam area. Our office is in Utrecht. I furthered my studies at Nyenrode Business University, which is in Breukelen, and over the years I've built friendships and worked with colleagues from all over the country. So to answer the question, I will look at life in the Netherlands from 6 different angles. Let's start with the first one, career and money. In my 20s, I basically lived paycheck to paycheck. Even though I had both a university and a master's degree, salaries in Spain were relatively low. And from what I know, they still are. As I approached my 30s, I wanted 2 things. I wanted to improve my financial future, and I wanted to experience life in Northern Europe, which always felt like a better fit for my personality. Luckily, an opportunity came up within the international company I work for. The position was available in both the UK and the Netherlands, and I chose the Netherlands. Looking back, it completely changed my financial trajectory. My salary immediately increased compared to Spain. It wasn't an enormous salary by Dutch standards, but compared to what I had before, it made a huge difference. Even though the cost of living is higher here, I suddenly had more disposable income to manage, which also led me to learn about personal finance and eventually investing, something that has had a massive impact on my life. Over the past 12 years, so from 2014 to 2026, my income has roughly doubled, and I've had fantastic opportunities to grow within the same company. Overall, I think the Netherlands offers excellent opportunities for highly skilled professionals, both Dutch and international. Combined with a very healthy work-life balance, this has been one of the biggest positives for me. So when it comes to career and money, I honestly don't know if my life would look the same if I had stayed in Spain. At the same time, I would like to give a balanced view because your perspective and where you come from matters a lot. For example, a friend of mine lives and works in New York, and she's in love with the Netherlands, shocker. And so she asked for a relocation within her company, and the offer she received was 60% of what she's making in New York to do exactly the same job. So while for her moving to the Netherlands would mean a salary cut, for me it meant higher wages. So where you are comparing to really matters. Housing deserves its own section because I've gone through the entire journey here in the Netherlands. Renting, buying, owning, and now selling my first home. If you're interested, I have separate videos where I talk about that whole experience, covering the buying and selling property processes in much more detail. I have to say, housing has probably been my biggest frustration over the past 12 years. Finding a place has never been easy, whether you're renting or buying. It's expensive, competition is high, and it often feels like there's always some kind of compromise. That said, housing has also been one of my biggest financial wins. Back in 2020, I was fortunate enough to buy my first home. At the time, I was able to do that with 0 down payment, simply based on my salary, and at all-time low interest rates. Looking back, that turned out to be one of the best financial decisions I've ever made. Since then, the housing market has increased significantly, which has put me in a much stronger financial position. So my view on housing is definitely mixed. I genuinely think it's one of the biggest challenges facing the Netherlands today, especially for newcomers. But at the same time, if you're able to get onto the property ladder, it can have a huge positive impact on your long-term finances. Would the housing market stop me from moving to the Netherlands today? Maybe, and maybe not. But I would definitely come with realistic expectations, because finding a home is probably much harder now than it was when I arrived in 2014. If there is one category where the Netherlands really stands out for me, it's the quality of life. One thing I've noticed is that no matter how much I travel, and many of you know I spend several months every year abroad, I always enjoy coming back to the Netherlands. It simply feels home to me. A big part of that is because how easy everyday life is here. I feel very safe, the infrastructure is excellent, public transport is reliable, and of course, I love cycling. It's one of those things that completely changes how you experience a country. You can cycle almost everywhere, and the cities are designed with people in mind. There is also something about how well organized everything is. Things generally work the way they are supposed to. And over the years, I really come to appreciate that. You don't always notice it while you're living here, but after traveling to many different countries, you definitely notice it when you come back. Now, one thing people often mention is the high taxes. And yes, taxes in the Netherlands are certainly not low. But personally, I've never had a problem with that because I genuinely feel like I get something in return. Whether it's the infrastructure, public services, or simply how well the country functions overall, I feel like my tax money is being put to good use. Also, I like contributing to the society I live in. So for me, the quality of life is probably the Netherlands' greatest strength. It's not just a country where I built a career, it's a country where I genuinely enjoy living my everyday life. That is, when I'm not traveling. The next category is healthcare and the social system. I have to say that I personally prefer the Spanish healthcare system. In Spain, regular checkups and preventive care seem to be much more common. People tend to visit the doctor more proactively. Whereas in the Netherlands, the culture is quite different. Here, people generally don't go to the doctor unless it's really necessary. Of course, you've probably heard the stereotype that whatever your problem is, you're told to take paracetamol and go home. There is some truth to that, but I also think it's a bit exaggerated. Because whenever I genuinely needed medical care, my experience has actually been excellent. Whether it was being referred to a specialist or receiving treatment, I always felt I was in good hands. I have Dutch friends in Spain who also make fun about how it works there. They say people go to emergency for a sore throat on Sunday with their entire family. There is certainly some truth to that, but it's funny. What has impressed me even more, though, is the social system. A few years ago, I went through a burnout, and during that difficult period, I felt incredibly well supported. I actually have another video where I talk about that experience in more detail. But it really made me appreciate the systems that are in place here. There are protections for employees, support when you need it, and overall a real sense of security. Education is another area where I've had a very positive experience. I completed my executive MBA at Nyenrode Business University, and I thought the quality of education was excellent. Part of the program also took me to South Africa and China, which really broadened my perspective and gave me experiences I will never forget. Overall, what I appreciate most isn't necessarily one specific thing. It's the peace of mind, knowing that there is a system there to support you if life doesn't go according to plan. That is something I value much more today than I did when I first moved here. The next category is people and integration. After all, where you live isn't just about your career or your house. It's about the people you share your life with. One thing that often surprises me is how many expats say it's very difficult to make Dutch friends. Personally, that simply wasn't my experience. From the beginning, I gradually built friendships that have now lasted for more than a decade. Of course, building meaningful friendships takes time, but honestly, I think that's true anywhere in the world. I also think it's worth remembering that many expats come here for a few years. Naturally, that can make it harder to build deep friendships with other adults who already have their friend groups. Why they should invest in a friendship if you are leaving again soon? Besides, I never really felt like I was trying to integrate. If anything, I felt like I naturally blended in, because most things in the Netherlands simply made sense to me. I would say Dutch culture is what I identify the most with now, after spending most of my adulthood here. Learning Dutch, however, has definitely been my biggest challenge. I actually had a good start because about 4 months before moving, I had started to take private classes from a Dutch colleague and had Dutch friends to practice with in Spain. So I really thought I would master the language pretty quickly, but I ended up using mostly English because it's very convenient for everyone. I still use Dutch in everyday situations, and I definitely understand much more than I speak, but I know it's something I could improve. I also want to say that learning Dutch is definitely not impossible. In fact, I have friends from Finland, the United States, and Switzerland in the basketball team. All three learned Dutch to an excellent level and now work for Dutch companies. So while it's certainly been a challenge for me and for many internationals, it can absolutely be done. So do not be discouraged. Even though I haven't mastered the language to an advanced level, I've always felt at home here. I've built friendships, I've created a life, network, and after 12 years, the Netherlands genuinely feels like home. Overall, people and integration have been a very positive experience for me. Alright, the final category is weather and travel. Ironically, if you had asked me 12 years ago, weather would actually have been one of the reasons I loved the Netherlands. After spending most of my life on the Mediterranean, I was looking forward to cooler summers. At the beginning, I absolutely loved them. But over time, something changed. I realized just how much I missed the sun. These days, it's not the rain that bothers me the most, it's the long, gray winters, especially January and February, when it can feel like the sun disappears for weeks at a time. If year-round sunshine is one of the most important things in your life, I honestly don't think the Netherlands is the right country for you. But then there is the other side of the story. The Netherlands is one of the best places in Europe to travel from. You have excellent connections, you are surrounded by incredible destinations, and having stronger purchasing power has allowed me to travel much more than I ever could before. In many ways, moving here didn't change where I lived, it changed how I live. Today, I've built a lifestyle where I spend almost half of the year traveling while continuing to work remotely. That simply wouldn't have been possible for me before. So, although the weather is probably the biggest downside, the opportunities that living here has created far outweigh that negative. Alright, so final verdict. After 12 years, would I still move to the Netherlands if I had to make the decision again today? So rather than simply saying yes or no, I want to answer 5 questions that really matter. Did moving here make me happier? I was already a very happy person, but yes, moving to the Netherlands made me even happier. Not because life became perfect, but because I built a life that genuinely suits me. Did it make me wealthier? Absolutely. Better career opportunities, buying my first home, learning about investing, and building financial security have completely changed my financial future. Did it help me grow as a person? Without a doubt. Living abroad, meeting people from different cultures, traveling more, and stepping outside my comfort zone have all shaped who I am today. I also really embraced Dutch culture and way of living, which really suited me from the start. Did it give me more freedom? Definitely, both financially, professionally, and personally. The lifestyle I was able to build is something I'm incredibly grateful for. So, would I still move here today? Yes, without hesitation. And the Netherlands isn't perfect, no country is. The housing market is challenging, I miss the sunshine. There are certain things I would change, but for this chapter of my life, I honestly don't think I could have chosen a better country. It gave me opportunities, friendships, stability, and the quality of life that I'm incredibly grateful for. So yes, if I could go back to 2014 knowing everything I know today, I would make the same decision again. But this time I would know just how much it was going to change my life. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.